Let's take you to Diepsloot now, where residents say they are fed up with the lack of visible policing there. They've taken to the streets in protest to raise concerns over surging crime levels. They claim the police have abandoned them and criminals have taken over. They have vowed to continue their protest until the president steps in. Let's go to Manqoba Mchunu, who is in Diepsloot. He joins us now live. Manqoba, a little earlier on when you and I spoke at around 1 o'clock, the situation was still tense there. In Diepsloot. Have police managed to make sure that there's law and order, though?
Well, Maseko, I can tell you that not at all. In fact, it's total chaos here on the streets of Diepsloot this afternoon. I'm just going to step out of shot and show you what's happening here, Maseko. You can see just in the background there are fires all over this particular area. These are some of the structures and the shacks and the stores that are owned by foreign nationals in this community that have been vandalized, that have been destroyed and dismantled by the protesters here. They are not relenting as far as their demands are concerned. They say they want the criminals out of this community, and if the police are not going to do it, they're going to take the matters into their own hands. And this is what has been happening throughout the day. They've been going to the various locations here in Diepsloot where they've been targeting these particular shacks, and they're saying that these are some of the shacks that they believe are harboring criminals in this community. So it still continues, Maseko. I can tell you that the police, as far as things are concerned, have been trying their best to disperse these protesters, but they have not been successful. In fact, earlier on they had fired tear gas at the protesters, but that also did little to push the crowd away from the streets. They actually returned back and they continued with the protest. And Maseko, the community is still out here on the streets in their numbers. We're not far from the N14 here that passes through Diepsloot, and you know, the community members are saying that their next plan of action possibly now is to target the N14. They want to get to the N14 because they say that's the only way that their message will be heard, and they believe that, you know, they'll get the attention of authorities if they were to continue with the protest. They have said it, that they don't want the police minister Begicele here. In fact, they want President Cyril Ramaphosa to come and address them and address some of their concerns, because they're saying that the police minister has been here on numerous occasions, but there doesn't seem to be any change as far as crime is concerned in this community. They're saying that while he has made promises and while there were interventions, the Amaperete were deployed in this area last year, there was only a short-term solution. There was only a solution for the time being, but subsequent to them being removed from this community, the deployments being removed from the community, they've gone back to square one as far as crime is concerned. And you know, they're saying that nothing is changing in this community when it comes to crime. There have been murders that have been, you know, carried out here in this community, a number of people being killed in this community. You recall, Maseko, that there was a protest here just about 2 weeks ago where residents had marched to the police station to raise some of their concerns on the issue of crime, and they're saying that subsequent to that there were about 6 people that were killed in this community. In fact, I think it was 4, if I correct myself. There are 4 people that were subsequently killed just a day after they'd taken that memorandum to the police, hoping that they were going to get a response as far as the crime is concerned. But they're saying that nothing has come of that protest. And this is the reason why, one of the reasons why they've now come here on the streets to ventilate their frustrations and anger in this community, because, they say that, crime is out of control here. They cannot walk on the streets in the evenings. They cannot, even go to the shops once it becomes dark in this community because of criminals that are always on the prowl here in this area. I can just tell you, Maseko, that we are seeing a number of police here on the ground, and these are police men that we understand have been here also just trying to protect the mall that is here, Bambanani Mall, that is not far from where the protesters had gathered. And in fact, those police, we understand, had been securing the gates of the mall to ensure that none of the protesters are able to get inside this particular mall, but also to evacuate some of the businesses inside, some of the shops that had been opened here at the mall, and to ensure that everybody that is inside this mall is being evacuated safely, but also to keep the protesters away from the mall, and to ensure that there are no incidents of criminality that would take place here, because you know that when there is a protest like this, we usually see some elements of criminality creeping in and taking advantage of the situation. But certainly the tensions are still high here in Diepsloot, and the protest itself still quite violent. We're seeing quite a lot of destruction of property, a lot of these shacks that have been dismantled by community members who are saying that they're not going to stop. They're going to continue with their protest up until they get the attention of the authorities. And just speaking to one of the community leaders, the question that I posed to him earlier was, of course, why did they resort to this violence? Is it warranted for this community to resort to violence to try and resolve some of the issues? And his response was that this is the only choice that they have now, to take to the streets and to dismantle and burn some of these shacks, because they've been trying their level best to hold talks with officials. They've been trying to sit down with the police. They've been trying to find a solution to the issues of crime in this community, but it doesn't seem like anything has come out of those engagements that they've had with the police. And now they are saying that the only way that their voices will be heard, that their cries will be heard as a community, is if they show their anger here on the streets. Well, many of the businesses here have been affected. They have been closed due to this protest. Some of the business people also are joining in this particular protest. But I can tell you, Maseko, that across this particular township, on every street that you go to here in Diepsloot, it is barricaded with rocks, with burning tires and burning debris here on the streets. In fact, we're seeing some of the community members nearby here also just trying to put out the fires here, but there are so many of them here in the community. In fact, it's even hard to drive through this community just because of the debris and the burning tires that are on the streets here. Many of the streets are inaccessible to traffic. They cannot, the cars cannot drive in this community, but the police doing their level best to try and keep the situation calm here at this particular stage. But as you can see, Masiho, here on the streets, this is what is happening in Diepsloot. Chaos continuing, and of course residents are still continuing with their protest. They're saying to us that the likelihood is that they might be going to the N14. We have already seen some indications of traffic also being affected there on the N14, where these residents are saying that they are planning to go to next. But certainly, Maseko, the situation still quite tense here in this community, and of course police still keeping a close eye on this particular protest. We have seen some of them arming themselves just to try and push the protesters away, but we understand that the protesters are now headed towards the direction of the freeway to try and perhaps block the traffic from moving there on the freeway.
All right, Manqoba, just lastly, in terms of the police presence that you're showing us there with those live visuals from Diepsloot, clearly no police officers there, and it's not the first time that Diepsloot residents threaten to go to the N14 highway. Have the police started to move there? That's what they usually do, because once they do get to the N14 highway, then traffic is not going to move in many parts of Gauteng.
Maseko, we've seen a number of police inyalas as well as vans that had just been, patrolling around the freeway. They've been driving in the direction of the freeway, of course, hoping that they can stop these protesters from proceeding to the freeway. And I can tell you, Maseko, that from what we see here on the ground, it does appear that, there are outnumbered as far as the protesters are concerned. And, it's been a cat and mouse game, really, because the minute the police go to a certain spot where there is violence and where there is a flare-up of violence in that area, we see the community members then moving in an opposite direction. In fact, earlier on, they had been planning to march to the police station, but they then cancelled those plans because they were told that the police were there at the police station, so they had opted to use another route to get to this particular section. So even now, Maseko, the police are on the other side of this particular place where we're standing, and the protesters have gone in the opposite direction. So they're still accessible to the N14 itself, but I can tell you that we can see the N14 from here. The traffic has also been affected there. We're not sure what's happening further down from here, but we know that traffic has also been affected. It does seem that this protest is also spreading to other locations that are nearby this particular area. But I want to bring in one of the community leaders who's here on the ground just to get a sense from him what's happening. Baba, quite a lot of destruction that we're seeing here. What is happening? Is this protest, still continuing? And why are we seeing so many things being burnt?
The protest is still going to continue until we're not going to stop, actually. We're going to protest until the president comes down and to hear us what we are saying. Yes. So now we are planning to go to freeway to close that road so that the president can hear what we are saying. We are crying. Yes, because of the foreigners are killing us. So we don't want Begitele. Begitele, Aaron Mtualeri, come many times here. So we don't want them. We want president to come here and listen our crisis. Because of now, we are dying. Yes.
So you're saying that, the reason why you are burning these shacks, we understand, is because you're saying that they're harboring criminals. But we're also seeing stalls here, shops or stalls, that vendors trade in here that are also being set alight. Why are you setting them alight?
Because of these shops, it's where they hide. When they kill our people, they hide with this spaza shop. So we don't want this spaza shop again anymore here because of the hide here. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that you're going to continue. This protest is not going to end up until you get the attention or the audience of the president.
Yes. We are not going to stop until the president is coming here. Yes.
And I saw earlier on clashes with police firing at some of the protesters, trying to disperse this particular protest. Have you had any engagements with the police? What's the situation like as far as police are concerned in the community and the reception of the community's members to the police?
No, we have been engaged with the police since in the morning. But some other police, they didn't come to us and engage with us. That's why they just came here and fired the rubber bullets. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, thank you for speaking to us. That was one of the community leaders, the many community leaders that are part of this protest. It's, taking place all over Diepsloot in different areas, but the group has now moved to this particular section closer to the N14 highway, Masiko, where they are hoping perhaps to go to the N14 highway to disrupt the flow of traffic. And I think you can just imagine what the impact of that will be, given that it is now a time when many people will be knocking off from work. So we're going to be keeping an eye on developments here, but certainly the situation still remaining tense, and community members saying that they're going to continue with their protest up until their issues have been attended to and the crime issues have been resolved.
All right, Manqoba Mchunu live for us there in Diepsloot, the situation remaining extremely tense.